So, welcome back to the dojo. We had such great feedback from our first video together where we gave people...
We just done this before, but we won't say anything.
Now that we thought we'd do another one, particularly to let people know about the seminar event that's coming up at the end of the year, which I'm organising, you're teaching at, and we've got 2 days of instruction with you. Let's talk a little bit more about the detail of what you'll be teaching there.
With Kinjo sensei as well.
Kinjo sensei teaching 2 days, and myself doing the first 2 days, the warm-up, easing people into training in Okinawa, so to speak.
Tell them the venue, the food, the sightseeing as well.
We are going to be based here in the Asato Dojo, but we will be visiting other venues too. We're going to make sure that you get to try and sample the best of Okinawan cuisine. After the training, we'll be hopping into the minibus and taking you to visit some historical sites. And the climax of the week will be, you get to spend New Year's Eve in Okinawa. We'll do the traditional temple visit, and you'll enjoy the festival alongside us. It's one of the best nights of the year.
I've already been asked, by the way, with some of the guys who registered, if it's going to be an annual thing as well. I know we'll have it, but we'll Christmas, because a lot of folks out there who are family orientated, you can't get away for Christmas and New Year's. A big deal, right? We get that, but others are saying, "Oh my God, what a wonderful opportunity!"
It's a good time slot for a lot of people. A lot of people actually travel anyway. You'd be surprised how busy Okinawa is in that particular time, because a lot of visitors, a lot of mainland visitors and international too. It's a great time to be here. We can still go for a swim even if you're adventurous enough to get into the ocean. Yeah, it's a great time to be here. I'm looking forward to it. 6 days of instruction. The 2 days that you're teaching, Sensei, I know I asked you to teach about the Motobu drills. After having seen the video that you did several years back, we just put that onto Bujin TV, by the way. But also, now I know you're seeing how that dovetails into what you're finding out about what Kian did as well.
Well, look, first of all, thanks and hi. Happy to be here again. It's Okinawa, for God's sakes. Do you know what we're going to celebrate next week? 2 years. I've been back 2 years.
Absolutely. 2 years.
Time has, there's an interesting term, Atoyuma desu ne. Time has wings, so wow. Another story for another time. We were focusing on the Motobu Choki drills, and then in the last, I'm going to say, few months, there had been some reason to look at a comparative analysis of some of Motobu drills with what went on in the Bubishi, particularly with the 48 two-person practices in the Bubishi. And that came up largely because of there's just been a new Italian translation of my work, and I've been contacted about the translation itself, and certainly about the two-person practices in regards to Motobu Choki. And so, and just for those of you who have not followed that, there's not a little bit of similarity with a couple. There are striking identical similarities with several of the practices. And of course, as the Bubishi predates Motobu Choki's work, there's every reason to believe, you make the deduction based on the abstract, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, that one may have served as the source, if not then directly influence Motobu Choki, then perhaps through one of his own instructors, maybe Matsumura or Itosu or something like that.
Well, this links back to some of the work that you did in the past, talking about how there were certain locations in Okinawa where there was probably a very high chance of transmission between the Kume groups, Kume-based Chinese colony groups, and, for example, the Shuri-based aristocracy, Matsuyama Koen being one of those locations.
We're both advocates of the secret Tomarite actually being practiced in Shuri, by the way, incidentally. But it's funny because the acts of physical violence, which would be the means by which the process of effectively negotiating are the same. And those acts of physical violence that are habitual in human nature, they don't change from culture to culture. You have a throat, you can only be grabbed with one or two from the front or the back, and so on. And so we started exploring differences and similarities. And not just between those two sources, but we found in many places in Okinawa there were opportunities where these historical influences served as a platform. Think about it for a minute. For example, let's say we're talking swordsmanship. And we're not talking about this particular style of swordsmanship, we're talking about being functionally effective on the battlefield. There was a process throughout history and all over the world during the time when the sword ruled. And you learned how to receive an attack, how to respond to it, and various variations, okay? And then you were put into functional situations. Why does it have to be any different for empty-handed? And then once the swordsman has become proficient with the sword, it's not that he's going to stop practicing ever or continue to train, but the pathway to functionality has been established. And so let's hypothetically say that one of the swordsmen relocated somewhere. Let's say Okinawa. Let's say that they lived in Kume. A popular social area to gather in Kume was Matsuyama Koan. Now, those of you who read my Matsuyama Koan theory, you're already aware of it. But how about if you had somebody who's already functional? They trained, let's say, in another country or culture, but they were living here. What was to stop them from continuing on with the process? And based, if nothing else, only on that one particular theory. There has been lots of native-based, shall I say, extrapolation or interpolation of the same thing. Not everybody does the same thing the same way to achieve the same outcome. And every generation, I'm quoting Joseph Campbell, but every generation produces highly innovative individuals who, in an effort to keep their traditions a living contribution for the community that they serve, find reason with which to reinterpret the common principles upon which it rests. And in spite of the lip service paid to it, this is a new style, it's really just more innovative ways of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So, Bubishi 48 postures, Motobu Choki, and my goodness, what happens? We stumble across the Kinjo Toku work. Thank you in large part to Joseph Swift on the mainland, who first introduced me to it 3 years ago. And then coming into direct contact with the person who's in possession of that work here. And then because of doors of opportunity being opened for me by guys like Dan Smith and Shimobu Zempo, James Pankwich as well, and just a pantheon of other important, I want to say gatekeepers, because they opened gates for me to go through and have increased my ability to better understand, which brings us together. I see that the Kinjo Toku drills, and keep in mind, Kinjo Toku, Motobu Choki, born a year apart, died a year apart from each other. They come from the same bloodline. I mean, it was the Motobu Udun. I mean, through the Motonaga family, Kan was adopted, and learned from the same instructors, albeit at different times, and came from aristocracy, and were and had a lot of the same social.
I think if we could take that time machine back, we'd probably find out that they actually spent a lot of time in very similar places, having grown up in the same location, right? Grown up in
Are we allowed to say that?
But the nature of Okinawan community today is that it's a very small connected community.
Yeah.
People come here and they think there's some sort of huge divide between Nahate and Tomarite and Shurite. These are all, cheek by jowl, next door locations.
Literally.
And everybody knows everybody. And I can't believe that was any different 100, 150, 200 years ago.
Well, there are wonderful stories, if only through Kuda and oral traditions, which have continued to be handed down. And one of the very beautiful parts of this culture are the traditions that are continually expounded upon here. One is Kumi Odori, of course. The other one is Eisa. It's kind of a music, song, dance type of thing. But are the stories that are brought as well? What happens at wedding ceremonies? You've seen some things where a guy punching out a candle and in some of the old weddings. But the thing is, the Okinawan people are such festive people, and they're so remarkably symbiotically linked to spiritual, to spirit and nature here, that their love of music, dance, social activities,
Absolutely.
awamori.
Great food. Yeah.
It's fantastic. And through that, we see this link back to the fighting arts as well. And so there's not a lot of difference. If you blindfolded somebody, I put you in an arm bar and said, what style did that to you? It'd be pretty hard to say, that's a green belt. Sure. It doesn't happen that way. And so we're going to take these two-person functional application practices from Kinjo Doku, Motobu Choki, contrasted with the Bubishi, and deliver those in a package that will not threaten the cosmetic appearance of your style, nor interfere with the cultural heritage or the political-based organizational background from which it comes. It's open for everybody. They're I guess, can I use the word style-less? They're style-less.
Style-less, but absolutely valuable to everybody. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. As someone that's learned a lot of Matsubashi karate, also that took a huge amount of lineage and knowledge from Motobu Choki's line, as well as Kian Sensei's line.
Well, I mean, look at Nagamine Shoshin was a student of both of them, in addition to others, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. And also, let's not forget that it's the last week in the year, which means that the climax, the finale of your site visit here is New Year's Eve. You get to spend New Year's Eve celebrating with us. We'll go to the temple, we'll do the traditional ceremonies and the festivities that go with being here at the end of the year.
It's all wrapped together in one. You got food, music, entertainment, sightseeing. I was going to say, there's a couple of things I cannot say. They're a little bit of a surprise. We'll leave that for you.
Right.
But you've got Kinjo Tsuneo Sensei is a master of Judokan Gojuryu karate.
Yes, I will say actually, I'm hoping to grab Kinjo Sensei for a similar chat very soon and talk more in detail about what he's delivering. But I know he's very eager to take people through, very much the fundamentals and kind of the core of Gojuryu and his Gojuryu knowledge.
If you haven't had a chance to be in a room and train with Kinjo Sensei, you're going to absolutely love it. The man has a remarkable presence, and technique is impeccable. So, yeah. And of course, I know James Sensei rarely talks about himself, but I mean, and we talked about, I don't know if we talked about it last time. You think about this for a minute. Who would be in best position to interact with literally everybody on the island? Oh, you'd have to be a bartender for that, right? Oh, wait, you were. The dojo bar. What was the term you got in Canada from Budo Without Borders?
Budo Without Borders.
I mean, you go to a bar, you go there to socialize, drink, relax, forget the day.
It seemed that all roads led to the dojo bar.
Everybody's been there. Everybody. And
well, I mean, I feel incredibly fortunate. I've said this before many times. I have an genuine sense of gratitude that I'm able to live here and take advantage of learning from so many great people. If I can distill that, give a little bit of that back, again, I'm very pleased to be able to do that. So I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Orientation is on December the 25th. You just need to get here by December the 25th. We will look after you for an entire week. And you'll have a great time. So
you're going to love the accommodations. They're just incredible. And just as I didn't realize, where do you get these 5-star accommodations for those prices?
Well, one of the great things is that a lot of brand new, lovely hotels have been built in Okinawa.
Right.
So we're taking advantage of that.
So
okay.
Look forward to seeing everybody.
Book soon. A few places left. Hope to see you in Okinawa.